Welcome to a special edition of the Pick Six podcast. My name is Josh Edwards, and I'm joined by first-round hopeful and Auburn cornerback Roger Mccreary. Roger, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. I just got through training, just feeling great about the day.
Yeah, so you're training in Pensacola with Team Exos down in Florida, obviously getting ready for the draft. This past week, you were at the Reese's Senior Bowl, which is in your hometown of Mobile, Alabama. I would think that's going to be pretty awesome to finish your collegiate career and kind of begin your professional career in the city where it all began. And I think it was particularly noteworthy that they actually named February 4th, 2022, Roger Mccreary Day. So I've never personally had the distinction of having a day named after me. I would imagine it's pretty awesome. But and then you were also committed to South Alabama at one point. So you finished your career in South Alabama Stadium as well. So what was it like for you as a Mobile guy, growing up in the city and being able to finish your career in Mobile and have that special day celebrating your name?
It's just great to finally like end off my college career in Mobile, Alabama. You just like gave me like that. Like I didn't notice that. Yeah, I finished it off at South Alabama, the first college I had committed to. So it was just great that whole week just playing the Senior Bowl, like watching a game that I grew up watching it as a kid and finally being invited to it and playing in it. It was just great. The whole experience was just great about it. I went back to my high school Friday to celebrate and retire my jersey, and that was like one of the most like the best the whole spotlight of that week. That just I just love everything about it. Talking to the kids, I'm just telling them how my experience was in high school and everything, and I'm just grateful for everything that I went through throughout that whole week.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know you had a little bit of time to give back to the community. That's pretty cool to be able to go back to your high school and share your journey a little bit. But Auburn has had some guys leave early for the draft in recent years. You know, whether it was Jamel Dean, you've got Noah Igbenogany, you had Carlton Davis. Like you decided to go back for your senior year. What was the impetus in that decision?
That was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make. Was I going to leave or come back? Knowing that I was able to get drafted, it took a little weight on me. But I wanted to come back for two main reasons, and that was to get my education and graduate, and the second one was to improve my draft stock. And I felt like come back this year was a smart decision, and I did great with both of those plans that I plan on doing.
Yeah, so you had a coaching transition, of course, during your time at Auburn, going from Gus Malzahn to Brian Harsin now, and that kind of led you to some scheme diversity. Going from more of a press man coverage type role to playing more zone this past year. So, how do you feel like having that versatility, having that exposure to multiple style of defense is going to help your transition to the next level?
It was great. I was happy that like that coaching staff had changed. I mean, at first I really wasn't happy, but like later on when I went back, decided to go back to school, it was great because I was just a man corner. And when Cole Mason came and Cole Harson had came, they came with different schemes and everything. I feel like they made me better overall as a cornerback with playing off man, playing zone, just football IQ and learning more about the game. And I feel like that improved me overall as a cornerback.
Yeah, so here at the top, I know you probably heard the voice of our producer Debo. Debo actually came up with that question. He's an Eagles fan. Obviously, they have 3 first-round picks and a need at cornerback. So I'm sure he's trying to get a feel of whether or not you might be a good fit for Philadelphia. So kind of sell Debo on why you're the type of player that they need in the city of brotherly love.
Just like the player I am. Like everybody know my name, like mostly from man. I feel like I'm great with that. I'm the best man corner, and there is. But in my situation, I can play corner and nickel. Like coach put me in situations when he told me I got to play nickel. I never practiced nickel, but he'll say I got to play it in this game situation. I just played it, just stick that main receiver, and that's just me all the way. And I felt like I come with the competition, and like in a game, no matter who I play against, the number one receiver, I'm just give all I got.
Yeah, so coming from the SEC, you're exposed to top end talent on a weekly basis. Was there a player that you felt like was maybe the most challenging or presented the most difficulty for you this past season or throughout your career?
I feel like that's I went against a lot of great receivers, and there's a lot of receivers I can like think of and just talk about. But I say like the main guy was the first main guy. When my first time ever starting in college was Jamar Chase. That was when I felt like I belonged in college going against him. And I say the last matchup I went against was John Mechie. I say that was like one of the most intense matchup I ever been in.
Yeah, so you had one of your best games this year against Jamison Williams, a guy that is regarded as a potential first round pick in his own right. I think you had 4 pass breakups in that game. They tested you and you responded. So, what was it like going back and forth with a player like that? And what was your mindset going into the game against a guy that you know is pretty highly regarded?
Um, I go against some highly regarded receivers in each game, every game. So I had the same mindset. We just play him like I play any other receiver. He was like Jameson was my main target, but I knew I had to go get John Mechie too. So I had a game plan and technique to how I was gonna play against both of them. And I just felt like going against them, that just helped me improve a lot as a player going into the next level.
Yeah, so you kind of touched on something that I think is really important there, having the mindset to get up for every game. It's no different last week than it's going to be this coming week. You're going to have a challenge every single week. So as we go through the draft process, we talk a lot about athletic ability from speed and your ability to break on routes and all of this stuff. But I feel like cornerback is one position where you really need to have some of the intangibles, the strong will to be successful at that position. So how do you feel? I mean, what traits set apart a good cornerback to you, a good cornerback from a great cornerback, and how do you feel like that applies to you?
I say like the difference between a good and a great cornerback is all about like football IQ, being like smart student of the game, recognizing the play before it happened, from just looking at the receiver alignment. There's a lot of like cornerbacks that's fast and quick and everything, but just being like mentally smart of the game, I just feel like that separates cornerbacks a lot. And I feel like with me, I'm good with that. I feel like my last coaching staff, they helped me up a lot with knowing the play before it happened, and that's the reason why I say I was so great in the Alabama game, because I recognized plays before it had happened. And another thing I'll say about me is that I'm really great with changing direction. So that's why I'll play a little nickel sometime too. And I feel like that's the difference between a good and a great cornerback.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's important to have those intangibles when watching your film. Something that jumps off the page is, simply your competitive toughness. You never get too high, you never get too low. And I think you kind of alluded to why that is the case. And it's because you have that preparation going into each of those games. So, I mean, that's awesome. I think teams are going to be very fortunate to get you. I feel very confident about what you might do in the NFL. So I'm excited to see what comes for you. But when you look back to your freshman year and where you are today, as a senior, where do you feel like you progressed? From your IQ, body development, whatever it might be. Like, where do you feel like you made the biggest improvements over the course of your Auburn career?
I feel like just having that high level mentality. I feel like I improved a lot just from my freshman to senior year with a lot of stuff. But I feel like just having that mindset of just playing the next play, knowing that I'm gonna get caught on, and just like communicating, having that same energy the whole time, even when I make a bad play, even when I make a good play. Don't get too high and just think the next play gonna be sweet. I mean easy. So just stay level headed and stuff. And I feel like overall that's how I went about it the whole time. I just improve at little small things, from man to zone to off man to communicating. And I feel like that made me a better player from my freshman year to my senior year.
Yeah, you might be exposed to a taller wide receiver at times. You might be more exposed to a guy that is smaller with more speed. You have to be prepared, whatever the situation. When you look back at that Penn State game against Jahan Dotson, and then you've got, some of these other guys from Alabama and stuff that we've discussed. How do you go about preparing for these different body types, skill sets, on a weekly basis?
That's one thing why I love so much about the SEC is playing against all different types of receiver. I want to get quick, short guys, tall, big guys. Example, Treylon Burks, that's a big overall guy who run with speed. Come from Jamie Wilson to with speed, and Jahad Dawson with great hands that can jump up and get the ball with Jamar Chase. It's just like learning, like going against them guys. I learned that throughout my whole college career, I couldn't play them all the same. I had to play with different techniques and stuff. And I feel like that just made me became more smart of the game, us figuring out their weaknesses and learning to play before it happened and everything. But going against them great guys, even when I had bad plays, I feel like I can look back into that and figure out what I messed up at. And that just made me want to study more, become even better as a player, and that will help me for the next level.
Yeah, I mean, being exposed to that type of talent is obviously going to prepare you for the NFL. I didn't plan to take it in this direction. We're actually hoping to interview Treylon Burks in the not too distant future for the podcast. What makes him such a difficult guy to cover? What is it about the way that he plays the game that makes him a first round type talent?
With him, with his size and like how big he is, he can come at you aggressive or he can come at you like with quick feet. He's quick for his size. So like you got to play him different depending on the situation. You can't like be so aggressive at the line because he can run past you fast. Or if you be too soft at the line, he can just like bulldoze you and just push you out the way and everything. So I feel like he got like a great package for his size, and I feel like he's gonna be great in the future just because his size. Like you don't know how to play against him.
Right. So, with all of these prospect rankings, mock drafts, I mean, the draft process has grown to be such a giant animal. All these fans can't get enough draft coverage. So, how do you approach it? I mean, do you pay attention to mock drafts and rankings? I mean, are you looking to see the other cornerbacks that, are talked about in the first round and, seeing how you stack up against those guys?
I mean, I don't really pay much attention to that, but I've been seeing like a lot about like who is the top corners and everything. But I don't really like pay that much mind. I just focus on myself and try to like better improve as a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last question I have for you, something that came out fairly recently, is your pregame meal of baked beans and sugar. So as you go to the next level, is that something you're going to be recommending to your teammates in the locker room?
Oh yes, most definitely. I mean, I don't think that my nutritionist gonna agree with that, but I'm definitely gonna try to put everybody on there, especially with the sugar and everything.
So how did that come about?
It's just like family barbecue and everything, and my mom and grandma always make baked beans, and I just like fell in love since with it when I was a little kid, and like every time, every party, every family gathering will always have baked beans because of me, and it's just good to me no matter what. Like if somebody cooking nasty, I will make it good by putting more sugar in it and everything, and I just loved it since I was a little kid.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. As a fan of baked beans, I will. We do brown sugar and stuff like that. Might have to mix in just some regular white sugar and
Yeah,
see how that goes
and regular
goes for
sugar is
me.
better than brown sugar.
I will test that out and I'll get back to you for sure. But
That's it.
Roger, like I said, man, I'm excited about what the future holds for you. I think you have the intangibles to be successful at the next level, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for you. So, best of luck in your draft preparation, and good luck on Sundays.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me.